Hi everybody, Dr. Carlos from Golden Era Bookworm here, and yes, winter is here and most people enjoy bulking over the coldest time of the year, so today I thought I would share Marvin Eder's bulking program. If you don't know who Marvin Eder was, he was truly one of the titans of the silver era, being a complete athlete, competent in calisthenics, bodybuilding, powerlifting, and the Olympic lifts. He was no doubt, pound for pound, one of the strongest natural builders of all time. Before going into the program, I thought I would first share some of Marvin's wisdom regarding bulking. Even back in the silver era, bulking was seen as gaining muscle and not large deposits of fat. And sure, some like Bruce Randall took it to extremes, but Marvin was of the opinion that correct exercising, diet, and rest needed to be balanced. In particular, enough sleep was emphasized, at least 8 to 9 hours a night, as well as getting to bed early and not partying all night like some do. His diet recommendations were quite simple. No white flour products such as white bread and pasta, no beans, cakes, candies, or soda, and instead to enjoy live foods from a whole food diet consisting of fresh fruits and vegetables, salads, lean meats, whole grain products, and milk. He would also recommend simple supplements such as protein and vitamin and mineral supplements. The program itself was quite simple and as listed here. Marvin also encouraged trainees to not train in other sports during bulking to allow for maximum recovery. On that note, he also encouraged following the routine as outlined and not adding more exercises, but instead adding more sets, that is, increasing the volume. Interestingly, he recommended to follow this program 3 times a week. I guess if you were young enough, you would probably recover sufficiently, but for older trainees, I would recommend following this routine twice a week only. Initially, each exercise was supposed to be performed for 3 sets of 6 to 8 repetitions. One was supposed to increase the volume to 4 to 5 sets for 6 to 8 repetitions. The exercises were as follows. The narrow stance squat was performed with the feet kept fairly close together, that is in a narrow stance, and the heels elevated. And essentially the squat was more or less like a half squat. The knees were kept pointed forward, and you was to squat down, breathing in deeply while you did so. And really, you were supposed to focus more so on using quite heavy weight. The second exercise, the wide grip bench press. As Marvin states here, bounce the weight off your chest slightly to permit the use of heavier weight. The whole program was basically with a focus on a little bit of cheating to use heavier weight. Also important is to breathe in when lowering the weight to the chest. And of course, the reason for that, I've covered this in the previous video actually rather recently. The wide grip bench press was performed rather differently in the silver era, and the exercise was supposed to combine pectoral development with rib cage expansion. You can see my other video on that that I recently put up on this channel. The bent over barbell row was done again using quite heavy weight with a moderately wide grip and a little bit of cheat. The standing press. Now here's an interesting variation that Marvin used. It was done with a clean grip, and as you can see from the image, with a pause at the bottom, really allowing you to use much heavier weight. As you can read here from his notes, you use a hand space which feels most comfortable, and that would definitely be a clean grip, which would allow you to rest the weight at the chest, right? And as he writes here, use a little back bend when pressing and bounce off the chest if needed to use the heaviest weight. Marvin was definitely not a guy that would use extremely strict form. No, he was very well known for using very, very heavy weight. And I mean, I interviewed him many times, and I was surprised at how he did certain things. You know, he was just always the kind of person that went all out all the time. He seemed to have boundless energy. That was just Marvin Eder. He was incredible. The next exercise is weighted chin-ups. And yes, you can see Marvin here, mate, he was strong. He was so strong. He would use a narrow grip, and yes, he'd have people hanging off him. If you've heard the interviews that I've had with Marvin, he started off even as a teenager with young kids hanging off him, and that built up over time to humans, you know, to full-grown humans. He was truly incredible, Marvin Eder. And that he would basically perform his chin-ups like this. Interestingly, he also mentions that if you don't have a chinning bar available to use a lat machine or even heavy shrugging, well, I don't think I would substitute this kind of movement with a shrug. But that's his recommendations. The last exercise, the cheating dumbbell curl, as written here, hold heavy dumbbells at the side, use the cheat motion from body and curl to the shoulder. Keep motion smooth and rhythmical. That was your Marvin Eder right there. Very, very interesting program. In my opinion, what is my first impression of this bulk workout routine? Well, it's okay. I mean, considering, you know, that it is very typical of a silver era full body bulk program. Let's understand that this program was, you know, it's already 73 years old. So it would definitely, in my opinion, put on strength and mass on a novice lifter. Although I would not necessarily give this to a novice lifter because it involves quite a lot of cheating. And that's the kind of thing you don't want to encourage a novice lifter from doing at the very beginning. Instead, good form, and then with time incorporating cheating. So perhaps it's almost better for an intermediate lifter. I can see why Marvin did not include triceps exercises, as there are already 2 pressing movements. However effective this program may be, I don't think it should be followed for more than 8 to 12 weeks, especially by an intermediate trainee, because otherwise certain imbalances may appear. And perhaps after 2 to 3 months of training, an upper body and lower body split could be incorporated. Or if the trainee wished to continue training full body training, then other exercises could be incorporated and cycled throughout the week. I think a novice would gain mostly from such workout routines, but after breaking into it, after learning the technique correctly, maybe 1 to 2 months in, where perhaps a little bit of cheating could be incorporated. And the reason I think novices would mostly gain from such workout routines is that this kind of program is much like the abbreviated full body routines, like the Reg Park's original 5x5 routine and others. And therefore, a novice may find that following such a program for 6 months or more may be rather effective for bulking up. So that was Marvin Eder's bulk routine. And if you're looking to dive deeper into Marvin's training philosophy, I have his original books and courses available on my website, so you can study his methods exactly as he taught them. I also cover Marvin Eder's system of training, as he and I, as I said, became friends before he passed. He taught me a lot. I learned quite a lot about his training methods, and you'll find his courses along with many other classic bodybuilding and strength courses inside my Golden Era Bookworm School community, where you'll find structured lessons, video demonstrations, and a community of lifters who appreciate old school, no-nonsense training. And for those of you who want a personal, tailored approach, I offer one-on-one coaching focused on health-driven aesthetic bodybuilding for men. This is built on experience, research, and real-world application, guided by a PhD and bodybuilding coach. So if you want to train smarter, get stronger, and build your physique naturally and efficiently, check out the links below. I do hope you have liked the video. If you have, don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and comment. That's it from me. I'm Dr. Carlos, the Golden Era Bookworm. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now. Head to www.goldenerabookworm.com for the biggest range of classic old school bodybuilding books as ebooks, e-magazines such as Iron Man and Reg Park Journal, high quality bodybuilding posters of the Golden Era stars, merchandise and classic gymwear featuring Steve Reeves, Marvin Eder, John Grimmick, Reg Park, and many other Golden Era stars. For those wishing to build a classic physique, lose fat and build muscle, online training is also available. Collectibles such as rare autographed photos from the Golden Era stars are also available, and to collaborate, please get in touch. Now, if you're interested in learning more about Vince Gironda's approach to bodybuilding, his principles, and all these tips of wisdom that he has, I mean, there's so much stuff that probably hasn't been proven by science, and it will take science to prove or disprove Vince. But to be honest, these 3 books, I believe, which I call the Classic Physique Bundle, are the best books that Vince ever came out with. And they, of course, are the Wild Physique, the Master Series, and the Pro Series. Have a look at it this way. The Wild Physique, I believe, is like the ABCs of Vince Gironda's principles to bodybuilding. He teaches you the exercises and his principles. But how do you put them together? Well, the Master Series is a 14-month program of using all of these principles, all of the diets that Vince came out with, all of the exercises. And of course, the Pro Series was a book that he came out with later on, specially targeted for getting into competition. It's just these 3 books, as I call it, the Classic Physique Bundle, are Vince's best work, and available, of course, at www.goldenerabookworm.com.